Green Revolution. A significant increase in agricultural productivity resulting from the introduction of high-yield varieties of grains, use of pesticides, and improved management techniques. These advances, collectively known as Green Revolution, have been responsible for dramatic increases in yields in recent years. And it was introduced during mid-1960s. There are some other factors promoting greater productivity, like improved marketing assistance, use of cooperatives, the expansion of credit arrangements, and the use of trained agricultural specialists. The Green Revolution is basically a mixed blessing. It has both positive and negative impacts. At first, we need to know the success of Green Revolution. For farmers' perspective, we will discuss the success of Green Revolution. The first point is the term Green Revolution actually refers to a major biogenetic advance in agricultural technology. In the 1960s, mid-1960s, agricultural scientists developed high-yield varieties, that is HYV, a high-yield variety of rice and wheat. So these so-called miracle seeds offered an opportunity to increase agricultural output in many poverty-stricken third world countries. Thus, yields increased by 3 times or more for farmers who are able to afford high-yield variety and fertilizers. And the second point is faster growing plants allow more than one crop per year. So people are performing multiple cropping rather than single cropping now. And the third point is increased output creates a surplus for sale, raising rural income level, and standard of living is now growing up. So these are positive impacts of Green Revolution, success of Green Revolution from a farmer's perspective, and success of Green Revolution from country perspective, less dependence on imported food or food aid, then lower rates of malnutrition and reduced risk of food shortage, then reduced rate of rural to urban migration due to higher standard of living in rural areas. Then failures of Green Revolution from farmers' perspective. So the Green Revolution requires large quantities of chemical fertilizer, pesticides, together with a well-developed system of irrigation. That's why yields do not change as many poor farmers are unable to afford new seeds and fertilizers. So they remain poor. And sometimes farmers cannot pay back the borrowed money and end up in debt. And then the third point is a gap between large-scale rich and poor-scale farmers widen. That means rich can buy more technology, they can buy high-yield variety of seeds, they can use developed irrigation system, and thus their yield their profit is higher than before. So they are based on that profit, they invest more in the next year, and thus the gap between poor and rich widens. And for the from the concept of cropping intensity. Cropping intensity is the frequency of occurrence of crops in a given region over a given period of time. There are 3 types of cropping intensity, like single cropping, double cropping, and multiple cropping intensity. In case of single cropping intensity, we cultivate land once in a year. So countries where population density is low and they are doing their agricultural practice with manual labor, manual tools, they are performing single cropping intensity because the demand is low and they are performing single cropping intensity. That's why. And in case of say double cropping intensity, that is the cultivation of land twice in a year. So country where population density is medium, so the demand is moderate, and they are doing agricultural practice with the help of technology. So they are cultivating their land twice in a year. And in case of multiple cropping intensity, they cultivate land 3 times in a year. So the countries with high population density, that is with high demand, and those who are practicing agriculture with the help of technology, they are performing multiple cropping intensity. And by applying different cropping intensity, cultivator can change the production amount from the same piece of land. Sustainable agriculture. Sustainable agriculture should involve the successful management of resources to satisfy changing human needs while maintaining and enhancing the quality of the environment and conserving natural resources. Sustainable agriculture must be ecologically sound, so it has we need to ensure that there is no adverse impact on ecology. It must be economically viable, socially and culturally appropriate, and based on holistic scientific approach. It's aimed to produce food and fiber on a sustainable basis and repair the damage caused by destructive practices. Here are some appropriate technologies that can be used to ensure sustainable agriculture. The first point is like irrigation. So we need to pick the appropriate irrigation system because water demand for each crop is different. So at first we need to determine the demand of water. We need to fix the amount of water that is needed by a specific crop. Then we need to irrigate the land. We need to pick the irrigation method, irrigate total amount of water and the irrigation method, so that we can ensure sustainable agriculture, and thus we can protect water misuse. And we must use organic fertilizers with inorganic fertilizers to ensure sustainable agriculture. The third point is mixed cropping. Yes, we must try mixed cropping. We need to practice 2 or 3 crops at a time, and we need to practice cropping intensity, that is multiple cropping intensity or double cropping intensity to ensure more production from single piece of land. And we must encourage natural predators. And new seeds and plant varieties must be used to ensure sustainable agriculture, because it will produce more crop with least effort. And finally, we must depend on biofuels, biogas. That is, we must use we must use renewable resources instead of non-renewable resources, and that will ensure sustainable agriculture. So that is the end of today's lecture, and thank you all. Bye bye.